Hey everyone, welcome back to a sim racing experience. My name's Jose and I'm a sim racer here in Miami. Today I wanted to go into something that I think everybody struggles with, not just sim racers, not just real racers, but I think that every human being goes through this. I'm talking about a focus, and sometimes on the simulator I struggle with focus when I'm in a race or I'm in a practice session and I've got a million other things on my mind that I'm trying to block out. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But what ends up happening is that you're not 100% focused on the driving, and if you're not 100% focused on the driving, what ends up happening to me at least is I usually end up running wide, I brake too late, and it's just usually a mess that not only is it a mess, but it also turns into a situation where I start doing bad, and then it just becomes this kind of whirlwind of a situation where I'm just getting angrier and angrier because I'm not doing well, and that's when I have to remember to just slow down. When I slowed myself down, I end up being able to focus a lot more. I'm able to look at exactly what I'm doing and look at what's in front of me. And by that, I'm able to drive the car a lot better and just be more conscious of what's happening around me. Being more conscious of what's happening around me also just makes the entire experience better for myself, better for everybody else, and then you really reduced the risk of spinning the car out, which is, I think, one of the most disgusting feelings possible. I feel just disgusted for 5 seconds when I crash the car, just because you're trying to perform well and you make a silly mistake and you end up spinning, and usually you hit somebody or somebody hits you. There's ways to get around that, obviously, but sometimes it's very difficult to just deal with the crash. It's not just dealing with that, it's dealing with the crash and then having to restart the car and get it back on track, and there's like a million things happening at once, especially in the race. If you crash at turn one, and you're at the more front end of the field, it can be extremely overwhelming when you crash into turn one and everybody's trying to pass you, and you may not have any damage or anything, but you really got to push to get the car back out onto the field immediately as fast as you can. But usually everybody passes you, because by the time you're able to get back on safely, it's too late, and you're completely passed by the entire field. So now it becomes a race of just having to work a lot harder to get back up the field, and if you're not focused in that time, that's really when you're going to start making mistakes. At least that's when I start making mistakes, and it's usually not a very good ending. One of my friends who's actually responsible for getting me into sim racing, he told me that when little bit of a backstory, when he started playing Forza, he had purchased the Xbox with the G29 Logitech wheel and was playing Forza for just a few months. I ended up borrowing that Xbox just to get a feel for it, and I think I ended up playing it every single day for about 8 months. I had it for about 8 months, gave it back to him for about a month, and I ended up just buying the whole thing off of him. So we continue to talk, obviously, and he tells me that the problem that he had was not being able to stay focused, specifically driving the Nürburgring. It was difficult for him to focus 100% on the race and on the driving. My answer to that was, when I was born, basically, I was born into a family where everybody was in motorsports. That was our life. That was the family business, and that was pretty much everything that I lived. And from the time I was 4 and 5 years old, that's when I started go-karting. And to me, of course, that really has kind of laid out the path of how I use my brain and how I focus. And the scary part was that for nearly 20 years, which is why I decided to come on camera and start talking about all this, was the mental health side of it. for nearly 20 years, I had almost forgotten how to focus like I used to, and just somehow got onto another thought pattern, and it just got out of control very quickly. And just, because of the changes that I have made in my life, I've been able to now remember at least kind of what those thought patterns felt like, which now in turn allow me to focus a lot more, because I'm not wasting time focusing on other useless things that really took up so much of my time and took up so much of my energy for so many years. Now I can really fully disconnect, and even if it's for 10-15 minutes on the simulator, I can really disconnect. And the more I disconnect, the more I can be conscious of that disconnect, and I take that kind of like energy that I try to harness when I'm doing that, and just remember that every time that I can. And that's what really pushes me to focus, and almost like into this hyper focus mode. But that's what really allows me to perform where I'm at now, and continuing to learn and continuing to perform at a much higher level. I really hope to be able to take this whole iRacing, sim racing thing to a much greater, worldwide level. I think that the industry is growing incredibly quickly. I hope to go to the Sim Expo next year in Germany. I think that's going to be a great experience, and just to be able to check out what's going in the industry. I consider myself very lucky to have everything that I have, and being that I have all the gear that I have and the knowledge that I've been able to acquire from my main business, and this huge passion that I have for getting this mental health message out, and also being able to couple that with racing, I think it's almost my responsibility to use what I have and put this message out there, and continue to grow the sim racing industry, while also destigmatizing the whole mental health. I don't want to call it an issue, but I really can't think of another word for it right now. But the other day with a client, I had a conversation between myself, him, and one of his bartenders at his restaurant, and we started talking about the mental health aspect of life, and depression and anxiety, and how we cope with it. And it became a conversation just like this. It became a very open conversation. Nobody was hush hush about it, because that's what I'm trying to achieve. I'm trying to turn that into something where people can just talk about it and not have to worry about holding it in, and just to kind of get out of whatever mindset that they're in, because it really does waste a lot of time, and it wastes a lot of energy, and it completely destroys your focus in life, and it destroys your focus through everything else, even through work or relationships, whatever you want to do. I mean, it's hard to focus when you're thinking about a million other things that are probably made up. I mean, most of the stuff, all of the stuff that produced the anxiety in my mind was 99% made up. The other bit was just kind of me trying to learn how to deal with life. And I don't know, at one point I just thought that everything was supposed to be nice and perfect, and I realized very quickly that it's not. And since then I've just accepted, and I've just been able to move on, and really kind of regained my life and regained my confidence, and kind of just what I've been able to accomplish now in the last 2 years has been incredible. 2.5 years ago, I was still working a 9 to 5. I was very fortunate to have a very steady 9 to 5, 2 miles away from my house. I lived a very good life, and I still do live a very good life because of my family and the incredible support that I have from them. And it's because of that support that I was able to build my first successful digital media company. And that's what has allowed me to now get into this whole sim racing industry, because yes, it is kind of an expensive industry to get into if you really want to take it more seriously. But even then, that's kind of not really a true statement, because gear doesn't make you a faster driver. It might make you a more consistent driver. I just really value the whole immersion factor, and being that I spend most of my time here at home, I really wanted something that I could immerse myself in, and this was the best way to do it, as I've mentioned before. And it really became clear very quickly how much of a tool it was for me to be able to use it to focus and grow my confidence back, and use all of that not only in the simulator but also take it out of the simulator and use it through my daily life. When I started sim racing, obviously it was just for fun, and now what it has been able to do for me, it's given me another platform to create content on, it's given me another platform to be passionate about, and it's given me just a whole other subject to discuss, be passionate about. And obviously tying it with mental health has been huge for me. I think that, again, dealing with my own mental health for so long was something that, probably 2 years ago, I realized that, okay, I was dealing with this mental health, and whatever, in parentheses, mental health meant to me and to my situation, I took that and I just took ownership of it and made it my own. And at first I really thought that it was kind of this whole secretive thing that, I wasn't going to kind of pay attention to it, or I was just going to forget about it. But no, what became of it was my thing. It was my own history. It was my own experience, and it was something that I learned so much from, that now I'm very fortunate to take that and be able to share it with people for the purpose of sharing my experience and just discussing my experience, just because I know that there's so many people out there that just hold whatever they have in and live a pretty miserable life. And not that my life was miserable, because so many people are so much worse off than I could have ever been, but dealing with all that in my mind was very difficult, just for me, and dealing with it mainly in my chest, because I would feel it every single day in my chest. And now it's mine and it's my own thing, and cool. It's just I'm proud to share about it, and I'm proud to talk about it, and I'm proud to be able to share it at this degree and at this level, and I hope to continue to be able to push it out to the world. And I hope that with everybody here, I'm able to do that. And that's really it. I really do hope that you liked the video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you want to see more of these videos, more of the streams, please do consider subscribing. Also hit the notification bell so that you know when I'm going live. And I will see you in the next one. See you later.